David.
I had a couple of luscious fried clams waiting for you to get your camera set up. I'm ready to go.
Hey, we're at Size for lunch. Looks good.
Yeah,
Looks
it is
very
good.
How are things with you?
Great.
What's
Great.
going on? You still doing your article?
I am, although it's online most of the time.
Yep.
But pretty soon I think it'll be in the paper more often.
Good.
Fishing column's been in. Bass are here.
Let me ask you about that online column. How do you know how many people see it online? Is there any way to...
I know that the people at the paper keep track of how many hits they get. Now, obviously, you know, if they get 200 hits a day or 300 hits a day, it doesn't mean that it was 300 people saw it.
Right.
It means that some people may have gone back twice or three, you know, who knows?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I go on there with some frequency just to see what the headlines are if things change.
Absolutely.
And they do. I mean, sometimes
They
you go
change-
in and all of a
they-
sudden it's like, you know.
They actually do keep a nice...
Yeah.
They keep it updated all the time. I mean, I'm always looking at it.
Well, it's amazing how many things are online these days just on Nantucket.
Right.
I mean, you've got G-Man,
Yeah.
you got the Inky, the Independent, I think, does something. I know they do some.
Yep.
I don't know how much, but because I tend to just look at the Inky because
And
Right
we're about,
for 'em.
and
I
we're,
write
by
for
the
'em
way,
for one
we're
year.
about to launch an online channel.
I heard. Hey,
gonna be
you
pretty
know,
hot.
and then there's a couple of blogs that people are doing here. You know,
Right, and Yak.
yeah.
Forget Yak, my gosh.
Yak's down. It has been down for a while, a couple of weeks now.
No more Bud Light Giraffe. Do you want a bottle?
No. What else you have that's like?
We have Rolling Rock. We have Miller Lite.
Miller Lite, that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
So yeah, how's that all working? I mean, you wrote here and there. Do you still call it here and there?
No.
Okay.
I've never had a choice about the names of anything that I've written. Here and there was there. The column's was written, if no one's writing it at present, since the late 1880s.
Oh, okay.
And I was really proud and privileged to write it. Sorry, I'm not. But the new one's called Goodman's Gam, which wouldn't be my choice, but I'm not the editor.
Okay.
And Fish Finder wouldn't be my choice for the name either. However, people recognize it. So that's part of the deal, you know. I recognize that I write the thing. I don't edit it, and I don't run the paper. And I may not like sometimes what they do, and sometimes I like what they do, and it's a job.
It's a
like
job,
any job,
right.
and everything isn't always perfect.
What do you do with all the articles that you've written? I mean, how long have you been doing this?
The fishing column, I think, is around 17 years. I mean, I'm within a year of being on that, and I did 14 years of here and there.
14, yeah.
And at one point, after I wasn't writing here and there, this was beginning late spring last year, I actually wrote a column. It was just like here and there, except I called it This Week, and it was an email column that I sent out to a couple hundred people on the island. And I really enjoyed that a lot because there were no constraints whatsoever. I could write it as long as I wanted to. I could use language that I couldn't use in the paper. Not that I did a lot of that, but I mean, there weren't any 4-letter words in there.
Right.
I like them to be 8 or 9 letters usually, but no, not really. But the whole point was I didn't want to stop writing something that I'd written that long every week and lose that sort of the touch or whatever you want to call it, or a contact with people, maybe is the way to put it.
Okay, I want to ask you about that though, the contact. What? How do you define that?
I'm really open. I mean, you know, if you look at my column, I don't always have it in there, but I very often would put in my address, my post office box, my telephone number, my email address. At one point I used a fax, and I like that feedback from people. Really, when I write my column, it's kind of interesting, and I don't know if people realize it, but my column is basically written when I talk to people on the street, on the phone, wherever. most of that goes back into the column almost verbatim. And that's, people always say they like, one of the things they like about the column is that it sounds just like I'm talking to them. Well, that's exactly what it was. I was talking to somebody and I put it down on paper. It's not much different than what you're doing right now with a video camera with me.
Right.
And I think that's the best thing about it. I know a lot of people use certain concepts to write with, and I'm not going to really comment on one of them that I see here a lot of the time, but I believe in being straightforward and right to the point,
Yeah, you do.
Probably more than a lot of people like.
You could even be more straightforward to the point, couldn't you?
Yeah, but they usually cut those.
They do. I see. Interesting. What about online? Do you have a freer? Do you have more opportunity for that, or you still have to?
I'll put it this way: when I first started writing here and there, I was allowed pretty free rein, and it got tighter and tighter as time went on. And I know what's going on. I mean, a lot of it has to do. Newspapers are hurting these days. It's an unfortunate thing. I really believe in newspapers. I think, even though they're not as immediate as all the stuff on the web and whatever, but they carry more import, I think, than when you read something on a computer screen. Doesn't mean I don't read newspapers on a computer screen, but there is something about that physical presence of a newspaper in your hands